What up? It is Monday, short week. We got FOMC this week, Juneteenth, so there's no trading Friday. Conveniently, that's when the Iran deal is supposed to be signed, so think of that what you will. If we know anything about these Iran deals, it's they are nothing burgers. They never turn out, so we'll talk a little bit about that later, but for now, let's just dive into the session. Yeah, we had a big gap up. How did I trade it? Kind of old traditional way, actually. Asia IB breakout. It's still within my strategy. I was still using my strategy, the overall marker for targets, and then the Asia IB was just my, kind of a more traditional way of taking a long. Well, you can take, you can break down, right? You can take it on the as a short as well. But yeah, so basically we see gap up, huge gap up. Go over to trading view. We gapped up right into this 2.5 standard deviation. So initial rejection, I just want to wait and see how it plays out because I want to see, does this reject back down and we fill this gap, come back down, test 7,500. But no, it just flips slowly and then Asia opens and yeah, use that support. And then we're kind of a little bit off to the races, nothing too aggressive after that first move. But yeah, I just waited. So initial balance is just the first hour of a session. So sometimes I'll take the break of the half hour IB, but traditional IB is hour, and especially after a huge gap up like that, I wanted to wait the full hour and then see what happened. And so yeah, just as it started to break away, I took the long for contracts, partial exit during London, so choppy, and then tried to re-enter once, got stopped out, and then re-enter again, and I just put my stop below midnight, which was you want to stay a bit, if you're in a long, you want to be above midnight true day open. So yeah, that was a good place to put my stop, obviously, and exited targeting the 3 standard deviation, pretty simple, 76.13. So obviously went higher than that, whatever, I don't really care, but that was my target. Don't have a screenshot, but yeah, there you go. That was the trade today. So $817, 3 accounts, locked out. You have to ungroup them to lock out of each one. Top step, you should actually change that. That would be really nice if you could do that. I don't like that I can't just stay within the group for copy trading, lock out of one and they all lock out. That has actually tempted me in the past where I realized that I was only like up a couple $100 on the day or something, and I thought I saw a trade playing out, and I realized that, ungrouped them, and then chose like the 2 accounts that weren't locked out, and then ended up losing on the day. And I was really pissed at myself. I was like, that was so stupid. You should have just been locked out of all of them, and you'd be chilling. So yeah, I wish they would change that. But for now, you just ungroup, lock out of all of them, and then you have to go and regroup at the start of the session. So it's fine. This was kind of a funny day. So I have this rule where if I'm up over $1,000, I set my daily loss limit to $1. That way it just can't turn into a red day. I think we've all had those days where you're really green and then it ends up being red, and those are just nightmare days. So that prevents me from dealing with that. But you have to it stays at $1 unless you change it. And I forgot to change it after that day. So the first trade I entered the next day on this Tuesday, just immediately hit the daily loss limit of $1. And well, it went a little over obviously, but hit the daily loss limit. And then, yeah, so whatever. But that trade would have been a loser that day. So, who knows? Could have saved me a lot there. But yeah, overall, pretty good month. Looking pretty solid. So I'm happy. Hopefully, we'll see. This week, I'm going to be very picky, choosy on my trades because there's a lot of ways it could go. I believe right now we're experiencing also too, I know I preach like less is more trades wise. A lot of these are just like attempts at entries that don't work out. See, like for instance here, these are both like $0, $0, right? So it's just me not liking the entry and then just, setting to break even and then getting a better entry later on that I can hold. So that's usually what it is. My edge does not, it plays out really well over time, obviously, right? As you can see. So I try not to do any type of scalping, high frequency. I like to just find the entry that I'm looking for and then hold it for as long as I can. That's ideal for me. So yeah, what are we looking at? I think, I don't know, there's so many ways this could play out. We do have some sneaky stuff So Bank of Japan policy rate decision, tentative. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll just be waiting to see if that comes in, but that could actually be a sneaky drop in the market. We might end up retesting the gap in that scenario. Basically, Bank of Japan policy rate, there's a lot of funds, a lot of money tied into the carry trade, so money that has been borrowed from Bank of Japan at really low rates, but now they're trying to defend their currency because it's been really crumbling, and in that case they have to hike rates. So if they hike rates a lot and it surprises the market, that'll be definitely a move down for sure. So a lot of times it turns out to be a nothing burger. They're pretty in line with the US, but at the end of the day they have to have their best interests in mind. So who knows what'll happen. We'll see. So we could see a move down, retest. Honestly, I'd look for a retest at least of at least of that IB break, right? Like right there. So look for a retest somewhere in there. If it holds there, then we can continue higher. Great. That's a quick rebalance, kind of hold support. Excuse me. And then I'd be looking to attack. Sorry. I'd be looking to attack this TR pocket right here. So this lines up with the 4.55 standard deviation. Really like that. That's a good look. So that, oh my God, geez. Oh, what is going on here? Why is that happening? Jesus Christ. Oh, I don't know why that just spazzed out like that. Okay. All right. So 7,800, 7,804 to be exact is the target for this week. If not this week, then early next week. The way this is moving, it looks like it's going to hit, but oh yeah. Well, a couple of things. Yes. I did say I said this last Thursday when I saw all those buys on, Thursday during that chop. I said this is the beginning of the blow off top to 77.50. That was previous contract. So now that I was basically talking about the TR pocket. So now that ends up being 78.04. So that is the target now on the new contract. I was literally telling people like not to short because this is going to be like aggressive move up and shorts will just get absolutely toast. People will obviously be looking for retests to go lower from there, and they've just absolutely gotten murked. But this is what it's looking like, right? It's looking like Wyckoff distribution. I'd mentioned this one of the last videos. I said this is what it's starting to look like when we started breaking down here. When we were down here, I was like, this is starting to look like Wyckoff. I could see basically if this support holds, I could see an aggressive move back to all-time highs to really torch everyone. That obviously after you see some sell days like that, obviously people have been like, that's it, it's over. And they're going to be just in total disbelief as we just climb right back to all-time highs. Again, we're just turning more perma bears into bulls every time we do this until there's almost none left. And then the market, will have permission to top. But yeah, so if you want to kind of visualize what this is really, let me just zoom out here. So like, I would say your first zone is like this, right? So let's mark it out. Let's go blue. Oh, there we go, blue. All right, sure, whatever. So that is that zone, and then same thing in this schematic. So that's basically that zone right there. That's this, right? And then what do we have here? This is the up thrust, blow off top, whatever you want to call it. In this in Wyckoff, it's called it's phase B up thrust. And then so same thing obviously in this right there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. This is kind of what I envision. This is a typical Wyckoff distribution model that you see. Obviously, it's not going to be picture perfect. We could like the end of this thing has many different ways of working out after we see, after we see the top kind of here. Sometimes it'll, end up come down, retest, chop a little bit higher and then come down. Sometimes it'll just be like down, chop, and then down further. Like you don't really know how that all is going to play out, but you obviously want to watch for certain levels to hold and certain levels to fail. That's really all it is. So yeah. Anyways, that's what that looks like. So will be very interesting to see if that plays out. That is a very typical distribution model. So for it to be a Wyckoff distribution that plays out at the top would just be hilarious. But at the same time, I hate how obvious that is. So still, I think you'd be looking for people now to be like, oh, here we go. This is just a blow off top. Like there's no way that tons of traders are not looking at it in the same way. So I'll be also ready for this to hit kind of as a target, but then actually just reject a little, maybe reject a little bit and then start to pin and then continue higher. And then that would really confuse people. Or if we just pin a little bit of an overshoot and then come back down, I don't know, many ways that could work out. I'll just be looking to see on the tape what happens at that area. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, you just see basically just right at Sunday open. So the IB break and then it just continues higher. You really don't see any sellers getting involved, right? CVD, look at CVD is just freaking flying up. Especially is that, that's right at open. So CVD is like way, way high. Futures just about to close right now. So it started to come down towards the end of the session. I'm just gonna go like that, go like that. Yeah, look at that. We're like 10K, I think. 10K positive delta. That's a lot of buyers in the mix, right? So it's just about, where is the initiative buyer and where are they gonna hold? But yeah, still this is very bullish looking at CVD. NQ kind of dragging its heels the whole way up. But yeah, this is, I don't know, interesting. Not really sure how this is going to play out. Saw a lot of sellers try and get involved at the very end, but overall, way more buyers. If you look at that, just rocket ship God candle on CVD there. So it'll be very interesting to see if then this level just holds and we just continue higher from there. If that is the case, if we just hold this level and we just go boom, 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 like, oh my God, I'll be so ready to short this. Because you'll definitely have a lot of retail traders that just don't know anything about this, and they'll just be like, oh my God, like here we go, off to the races, like we're just only going to go up from here, like this is it. And then the deal will just totally flop with Iran, and then our global economy cannot possibly sustain itself, never mind thrive with the Strait of Hormuz closed with any type of conflict there that lasts any longer than it is right now. Like this is just insane. So the market will come back down to reality, surely, if this does not resolve itself. The only which way that I can see us continuing to go higher is if Trump actually has come to his senses and realizes he's going to get absolutely murdered in the midterms. And is not like, or is like, sorry, Bibi, like Netanyahu, like we did what we could, but you're on your own kind of thing. And the MOU, like the clauses are just insane. It's like reparations included, toll fees included, complete cessation of the war. Like the U.S. completely moves out of the Middle East. They acknowledge the Islamic Republic, whatever, their sovereignty. They just completely leave them alone. I don't even think it even mentions nuclear stuff. And it's just like a complete, like it looks terrible for the US. It looks like just way worse off. It's like 300 billion in reparations. It is, leaving Lebanon alone, which, Israel has never been able to do. So I just don't see it. I don't see how that deal gets signed. I think this is just garbage. And of course, he just announces it an hour before futures open yesterday. Just like, what a joke. This is just the most insane market manipulation, I think, ever in the history of markets. There has never been anything like this. This is just truly insane to witness. I don't know what else to say about that. It's just freaking nuts. SpaceX IPO. Did I already mention? I can't remember. Wow. If I haven't, because I'm flying through stuff. Yeah. It's kind of exactly what did I mention the other part? Yeah, I did. Yeah, SpaceX IPO is exactly kind of what I was saying. You can go back to a previous video where I talked about SpaceX IPO. I basically said the crowded trade is for it to be a sell the news event. that it was just way too crowded. Too many people thought that this IPO was going to mark some type of major top. So that was Friday, right? And you'd see was that Friday? Yeah. So there's all this chop, right? And that you'd see a lot of traders looking for a gap down type event too. And especially since on Friday, Trump was like, we're taking over Clark Island. Or no, that was Thursday. But anyways, it was just, Iran was up in there too. So a lot of people thought that was it. Baited a lot of shorts. Looked like it was going to flop. And then sure enough, we just see a gap up and it just rockets throughout the day. It still has to get added into the indexes, right? It's mutual funds are still picking it up. So I think a lot of selling last week was just freeing up funds to dive into this IPO that they just, they have to because it's included in the NASDAQ. So yeah, we will see how far this goes. I have no idea. Obviously, I do think there'll be some type of exit event. Don't know how high it'll go in that case. Like, doesn't matter to me. I don't care at all. It can go as high as it wants. Anthropic too, IPO coming up, and OpenAI. I don't know. I think the OpenAI one will really be it. Like, yes, eventually this is gonna flop. Basically, they're like, when you look at these AI companies, they are profitable only because they are getting essentially investment from other companies, right? From other kind of hyperscalers like Google and Meta and stuff. But even those hyperscalers are now raising money to invest in AI because, they don't want to invest their own capital, I guess. So that's a little bit of an iffy warning there kind of thing, is that they're raising capital to, invest in compute, invest in data centers. Elon, Anthropic, right before their IPOs, announcing that they're going to be profitable on what they say on whatever day in either June or July, this month or next month, I can't remember. But it also coincidentally lined up with exactly the 2-month discount on compute that Elon offered them through XAI. So obviously when that discount goes away, I don't know, it's iffy. Right now we're seeing, this is something I didn't really see ahead of time, but makes complete sense now, it's just when these white collar companies, so Walmart was a good example. That is, they're like, nope, we're not using it. It doesn't make sense. When you actually use it at scale, it is more expensive, just like token usage. Just, right now it's just baiting companies in, but they cannot sustain it at this level, like what they're charging for the use of their AIs. Just it's going to get more expensive, or it has to down the road, in order for these companies to become profitable. So it's kind of a lose-lose whichever way you look at it. And right now they're just still focused on race to AGI and stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's a long aside. So who knows when that'll run out, but eventually I think that'll be more of a capitulation event. I think we will have already topped by then, and then down the road, you'll see after these IPOs, and you'll see them do their maybe first quarterly projections or something, and you'll all of a sudden see that they're really struggling and they cannot maintain profit, they cannot become profitable, something like that. And at that point, that'll be like a real, circuit breaker, 5-10% down day, where people all of a sudden realize like, oh, this is not good kind of thing. This is not going to work out. We will see. I think that pretty much covers it. Commitment Traders Report. Yeah, this is very interesting. I would really want to see, for considering the size that was added last week, for this to be continued bullish, I'd really want to see us back over, a milli. So if we hit 7,800 this week, and the next week I see this thing down in the 800s, I will be really, really thinking that sellers might have this from here on out, but we'll see. Still could be higher to go. There's still a lot of people waiting for this to top. So in any case, when that happens, it just generally continues to go higher. I don't know. Yeah, I think that covers it. So yeah, day before FOMC, generally pretty risky day to trade. Look for these zones to hold, like I said. Look for maybe a retest of this IB to hold 75.50, 75.70, anywhere in that area. Look for buyers to appear. If not, you would look for somewhere down here. Yeah. Basically, basically back down to this 2 standard deviation. I would not want to see it fail below here for us to continue out of 7,800. So look for at minimum 7,500 to hold and go higher. But I think considering what we just saw at close, it seems like it probably won't dip any lower than kind of this Asia IB. I don't know, nothing's for sure. I have no idea how this can play out. It could just literally just go higher from here, and then none of these will get retested, and then it's just going to fail and come back down. That is also a very legitimate possibility. But yeah, we're FOMC big day. We've got to see how Warsh talks, if he's going to basically how he's going to talk about rates. If he says something like hikes are not part of the conversation, that is very bullish. I think the market's already priced in 1 hike at the end of the year. So yeah, they're looking for some relief from Warsh on that point. But on the flip side, if he says, yeah, no, still, I can't make these decisions on my own, and the rest of the committee still, is worried about inflation, that is not good. So if he kind of sounds hawkish at all, any hawkishness at all from Warsh is like, well, it'll spook the market so hard, because they expect Warsh to kind of really try and take the reins of the committee and push for cuts, even though it's still not just up to him. The whole committee has to agree. So we will see. I don't know how it'll work out. But yeah, big week. Trade safe as always, and take care. Bye.